He ain't on Facebook, but he on there. Hey, hello world, how are you? I know. Do not try to adjust your internet, because yes, it's true. It's another Negro inside your electronic device. Welcome to Conversations with a Pitbull live. I'm Foster Carter, first of all, because you're saying, who is the stranger? This would be Daniel Mason.
Hey, what's happening, y'all?
And we are here today. Just glad to be here. First of all, it's been a minute, but it's going to be a minute, because I am informing Danny that I'm starting a movie next Friday. So that one will be out. So we'll be off for 2 weeks, unless you want to roll in here and get our guest. We have a wonderful repeat guest today in the house with us that, hey, you can't beat. I mean, it's family, Robert Cabral and Bound Angels, and just show you how serious this is, right? Doc, Bound Angels band, Robert came in here, 6 months ago?
It's been at least that, yeah.
Check out my gear, though.
Hasn't left my arm.
That's awesome.
Except for at one time in the police station, but that was another story.
Yeah, look at that.
Hey, so I'll be gone for 2 weeks, so you guys can work that out, and just...
You ain't got no more applause in there, Chris?
Yeah. Exactly. So, to get started, you know what? I didn't talk to anybody this morning because it's just been one of those kind of days. A lot of you guys, first, I want to start off by saying thank you for the concerns and the emails about grip. I don't know if I told you, but I got out of the hospital on Friday from having my, because, I had cancer, colon cancer years back, and it had been a while since I had my checkups and stuff, so I had to go in and get the whole new, tune-up, right? So I got out of the hospital on Friday, and I saw a lump on Grip's stomach, took him to the vet, ended up he had micelle cancer, lump, big a tumor. So immediately, right, since that's our partner, he's the only part of this three-piece team over here that can't speak, and you know how we are looking out for them with no thumbs. And so he went into surgery on Monday, and it's been one hell of a week, man. I'll be honest with you. I forgot how much I love that damn dog, because it's been, just a major cut. I mean, he looked like I did when I had the whole, colon intestinal surgery thing. So he big cut, and he came on the Tuesday show. He laid over here, and you guys that saw it, I haven't put none of that up. And we got the Tuesday show has been great, but he cried the whole show. 4 hours laying over there crying. He would sleep. He'd be right, and it's just been tough. And then yesterday. So I'm letting him out in the morning to, because I can't have him with the other dogs because of the stitches and all this. I'm letting him out and in the front yard, and he goes to pee, and I see red. So I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm thinking, man, my eyes are bad to go over. And luckily, he peed on a bright brick. And he was peeing blood, man. So I immediately, that's bad in anybody, but, and I've never had the female experience, but as a guy, when you see a guy pissing blood, it's just not like, good. Ooh, it just, so back to the vet, and so after, and that's why I say my whole life has just been, this whole week has been nothing of mine, So everybody that I said that I would do whatever this week, I'm sorry, it's just get in line. It's just been that kind of week, man. It's only one person that, so it's worse, than it was, and so he's on more medications, and so we just keep the prayers going for my man, and he's getting better because we claiming that, But so anyway, and I didn't bring any pictures of him and stuff because we just been hugging up, and there ain't been no picture time.
It's been one of those weeks, man, where when you lose, not even lose, but anything kind of gets disrupted from your normal cut buddy, man. That's a tough one. Yeah.
So anyway, enough with that. But I just wanted to say that's why I haven't returned anything that anybody might have sent me, from phone calls to emails to whatever, And so thank you for the concerns. So what we got, buddy?
Well, we got Robert in the house, back with Bound Angels and stuff. Right, what I mean? Before we jumped into that, I just wanted to say real quickly before we get to the fun stuff. I have a good friend like Maurice, and his son passed away this week. You may have seen it on the news. Like, some football players were coming home from practice and got in a car accident, and he unfortunately lost his kid, Isaiah Hastings. It's just a reminder that everything is so fleeting and life is so important. So
do it today.
If you're out there and you are tied into Facebook, I'm not connected like that, but if you are on Facebook, just or Google Isaiah Hastings, read about his story. If you catch up with his Facebook page, just send a like or a nice message for somebody that you don't know, because they're going through it. So that's
what happened.
Just a young kid. He was, him and his buddies. Him and his buddies were coming back from football practice. They go to the College of the Canyons or whatever, and they just, they still haven't got all the details and whatnot. But just a young kid doing the right thing, and just got bad accident.
They don't fall asleep or.
They're not really sure,
Oh, okay. They're still working it out. Well,
he wasn't driving, so it's just anywhere you go, man, you could be going down the street or whatever.
I'm telling you.
But to have a kid going to college and trying to do the right thing, man, sometimes it's you take those ones really, really tough, because those are people that are contributing to the social goodness. So
exactly. And that's why people said, well, why did you start the Tuesday show? And and I'm trying to launch Breeder X in October. Well, we're trying to launch Breeder X in October, and that's the exact reason, actually. Because like I said, I was at the doctor on Friday, and and you saying this. Believe me, if you don't do it today, there's no guarantees you're gonna do whatever. And so
have you had any of those kind of experiences? Not with the death and stuff, Robert, but like things that really give you that epiphany to remind you of hey, I gotta do it today.
Every day. Whether it's my father was murdered last year.
Oh.
And so that really hits home. My father was just my best friend, so we talk all the time.
We just met.
We just met. You met me the day after he was assaulted. And then he died as a result of that murder, of that injury, like a month later.
See, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Because when somebody says their fathers died, you know what I mean? And we had just met. I lost my mother, so I know how that is. And so when people say, "Oh, I know how you feel," well, is your mother alive? Is your dad dead?
Right.
Then you don't know how.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know.
So I didn't want to even go there, but I didn't know it was murder and assault and stuff. Yeah.
He was trying to help somebody. Somebody was being rolled in a home invasion, and he came up to save his life, and he did save his life, but he lost his life in the process. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's but then you look at it all the way down the line. You look at so many people dying, and and so many animals dying, and and it's not to equate a human to an animal, but in a way, we do. We see how many animals being killed in shelters.
Life is a life on this universal scale of balance and karma, and because none of us know where we're going from here. Because you leave this unit of a body, and you may come back in that unit, that body. You know what I mean? So who knows? And A life is a life.
Yeah, you just got to do good and be good and feel good.
Yeah, yeah, all the time.
It's funny, but animals have that capacity, like that that desire to like save people that they love, or even that they don't know. They'll go try. I don't know if you saw this. There's this story in the news with this pit bull up in Oregon. Like these kids were down playing by the creek and accidentally stepped on a like a log or whatever, and the log like opened up with a swarm of bees or whatever, and there was like 17 kids down there, and like 16 of them like made it out or whatever, and then one kid was like too small and like stuck down there or whatever, and so their adopted pit bull ran down into the creek, grabbed the kid, and dragged him up the steep embankment out of whatever, and saved the kid's life or whatever. And it's just like,
what?
Yeah,
it's a really cool story. It's like the kid's name is Jesse Cole. He's like 8 years old or whatever, but
was the
like
pit bull named Lassie?
What was the pit bull's name?
Right. That's not what we hear on the news over here, is it?
Like Jesse's gonna fall in the well next.
Yeah.
The pit bull's name was Hades or whatever.
Hades.
So it's like, I'm sure he's out there protecting the land or whatever, but like, an 8-year-old kid, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to like even just hold, like somebody's hey man, hold my kid or whatever. You're like, that's about 60, 70 pounds or whatever. And that pit bull went down there into the swarm of bees, grabbed the kid and dragged him up a steep embankment to save his life. And I'm like, wow. You know what? When I hear those kind of stories, I know it's not the same, but we always talk about the animal-human interaction. I'm like, man, if you put a group of humans and a group of dogs, I'm gonna go through there and pick selectively. Because I know some really good dogs and some bad people. So.
That's so funny. I bet Fred. Hey, Chris, you got Fred's number or Skype him? Because I haven't talked to him. Because, like I said, I haven't talked to nobody all week. But let's get him. Because Fred probably knows about that story. So, Robert, tell us what you've been up to, man. Because since 6 months or so you've been in, I know.
We've been so busy. Like the biggest focus we've got with Bound Angels now is our education and awareness campaign. So every shelter we go to and do one of our shelter rescue programs, we put all that information, we videotape the whole thing, and we put the entire workshop, the entire seminar online for shelters all across the world to see. And it's getting amazing effects. I just got a message the other day on Facebook, actually it was yesterday, and this woman telling me how important this stuff is to help her save lives of the dogs that other people can't help. Because sometimes we have trainers who believe that being positive only is the way to go, and that works with a lot of dogs. But there are certain dogs that do not respond to that, and they might need a balanced approach. They might need a correction here and there. And if we're not willing to give that correction to the dog, that dog is going to end up dying in the shelter.
Right.
And so many good dogs end up dying in shelters because people are afraid to give them a correction, to give them structure, to give them the love the way the dog needs the love.
Right.
And this whole positive-only movement in dog training is just killing dogs, and I'm upset about it. Although I consider myself a positive-only trainer, I still believe that a good trainer is going to use a pinch collar if he has to, an electric collar if he has to. He's going to be whatever's fairest to the dog, whatever's going to help that dog learn the best and the fastest, and whatever's going to save that dog's life.
I'll tell you the truth, man. I've known trainers since I was, an animal photographer, in my early years. I don't know techniques, but to be honest with you, that shock collar, man, my dog wouldn't be the dog he is today without that thing. And then, and I only used it for like a very, very, very short period of time. You know what I mean? The one that I had was like you could adjust it.
They're all adjustable.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
All
I know I've spent a lot to get something good.
Yeah.
And I put it on myself, right?
Of course.
I put it on me to check it. You know what I mean? Because I said.
Because you're humane.
I'm not gonna hurt my guy. And I put it on. I was like, oh, that wasn't big. It was just to get your attention. You know, it's like that,
Well, I wonder about that stuff because, I'm always trying to learn and whatnot, and to me, just even the thought of that is just, I'm like, again, I'm not a dog trainer or whatever. I love dogs or whatever, but I would always, my default setting would be, there's something I'm doing that's failing as a human where I need something extra, you know what I'm saying? But maybe maybe it's just a lack of education or whatever.
But if the tool is there, and I'm saying I've seen people, their kids get the electric collars and they start shocking the dogs. People think it's a remote control on the dog, and those are the kind of people you want to bash their head in the ground.
Exactly.
That's real abuse. But when you know how to use this tool, and I've used it for years, I've used it on countless dogs. Right. And you guys had Kyle Schwab on not too long ago. Kyle's an amazing trainer. Yeah. Now Kyle is a very strong, dominant trainer with the dogs. And Kyle turns these dogs around. Yeah. So who's going to come up and say, well, that's not the way to do it? Well, then why don't you try it? Yeah. Because you ain't doing it.
But is it a function of maybe like the time and effort? Is it just like a?
What do you mean?
Like, for example, because I know somebody would likely say, oh, well, I could do the same thing. It's just going to take a little longer or take a little bit more effort on my part. The shock collar cuts. Maybe it's a convenience type of thing. Is that the case? Or?
No, well, to a certain degree, there are certain techniques that you can kind of take a lot of time off of by using a little bit of, a little version, a little more compulsion on the dog. But if that's the case, then you shouldn't be using that tool. You should give the animal more time. Yeah. But there are certain animals that don't respond to any method but one. And there are certain dogs that I've gone to shelters. I was in a shelter in Arizona not too long ago, and there was a dog that the trainer there was using a pinch collar on trying to train the dog. And one of the employees said, this dog will not sit. We've tried for a week now. I took the pinch collar off the dog. I held a treat over the dog's head. The dog sat. So it's not about the tool. It's about the person using the tool. It's about the craftsman.
Yeah. I tell you this, man. And because I was very much like what you're saying. Mm-hmm. The whole thought when they said, because I've had pit bulls for 30, 35 years, one after another, you know what I mean? And in Vietnam vet, my first pit bull's name was Da Nang. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? And I've had I had one ever since, and they've just gotten better and better because I've gotten better and better, but when I first got my first one, there was no they're crazy dogs, the stigma that they have now. Thus we have this show to try to help. But the shock collar, and this is the thing for me, because pit bulls are not aggressive breed, but they are.
They're dominant.
Yeah, they're dominant. Yep. They got a lot of energy. If you had a Great Dane, or if you had any big dog, and pit bull is just a smaller dog, same kind of strength and energy. And this is what got me to the shock collar thing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't use it, but maybe I think maybe 2 months, to be honest with you. The dog is strong in me. And because my dog, I walk without a leash. He's down. We train, right? Right. He's going to run out into the street. Walking with your dog, and it's a dog across the street or something, and he's going to run out into the street and cross the street and run over to the other dog, right? And you can't grab the leash or snatch the leash out your hand. There's nothing you can do. Your dog is about to get hit by a car and that or whatever. You can't do anything. And you haven't trained him. You haven't gotten to that part where he's well trained enough to understand and it will take a lot of time to do that. But this situation is here now. I hit that shock collar. He stopped in his tracks.
Was he hurt?
No.
Did he scream or cry?
No. I didn't have it turned up.
Did he hate you afterwards?
No. Okay. I had it turned up, you can go 1 to 10. I had it turned up to maybe 3.
All right.
It just got his attention.
Just reminded him.
That's right. And now, and that was for his 3 months, right? And for the 6 months, something like that. Now I've had my dog for 7 years, right? Same situation. Happened probably a month ago. I'm out in front of the house. It's a dog across the street just walking, and he's on the grass. He starts to run out the street. Right. I say, grip, and he stopped.
But wouldn't you rather just have a leash? You say, I'm walking him off the leash. Why can't you just walk with a leash?
Because I was
that's what to me it kind of reverts back to the human failing. At least I'm not, because I don't know the science or whatever. My dogs are, they're gonna jump on everybody. They're nice as hell or whatever. But I'm because I know they're crazy. I don't take them to the family picnic or whatever. They're good dogs, but it's kind of like when I see a kid in the grocery store with one of them long leashes with the harness or whatever. I'm I don't know. I don't have kids. I haven't like read all the studies on kids or whatever, but like something about that bothers me.
Right.
Like,
and something about having to have my dog on a leash all the time bothers me, because we should be able to communicate well enough that he knows right from wrong, and like the kid that you see in the grocery store, he knows.
But is it the same as like Robert? Is it the same kind of like say with like another animal where it's like, oh well, you could say that about putting a saddle on a horse or whatever? Like, is it like in kind of like to that where it's not really like
the cruelest thing? Like, the cruelest thing we do to a dog is we put a collar and a leash on it and confine it. We give it no freedom. So we're starting it out already. That's already the cruelest thing we do. So since these dogs have been domesticated and want to be with us, using an electric collar, and I like to use an e-collar or electric collar. I don't like the word shock because I don't shock my dog.
Yeah.
I give him a nick.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The other thing I'll tell you too is, I don't know if we brought this up last time, but I train competitive dogs. So my dog is a competitive dog in AKC, Mondio, and Schutzhund or IPO. And Obedient has been titled in all 3 sports. Very few dogs have been titled in all 3 sports. That means I can go on a field with my dog off leash, no collar, no electric collar, no nothing. And I can tell my dog what to do. I can send him across field to bite a guy. I can call him back. I can send him to run. I can call him back. I can lay him next to 15 dogs in a field, walk away, get off the field 15 or 150, 200 yards away without him seeing me, and I can come back and I know he's laying there. There is, when you're dealing with a dominant breed, I'm not talking about dealing with a Cocker Spaniel or a Poodle. Right. I'm talking about dealing with a Pit Bull, a Malinois, a Corso, or so. It's a real dog. Mm-hmm. The trainers who will tell you that they can do this without an electric collar, they can do it on certain dogs. Now, there's a very small percentage of dogs that will never be trained. It's a very, very small percentage. But there's that big group of dogs. These trainers will not proof that dog off leash. I can guarantee you that. And you got a point, Danny. What if you keep your dog on leash? But the question comes in, what if you drop that leash? What if you open your door just by chance and a squirrel's going by and there's a car going? If you love your dog, you got to make sure your dog will listen. And there's only 3 things any pet dog needs to know. That's how to come, how to stay, and how to leave it. Those 3 things, your dog has a happy life. Don't be a competitive obedience trainer. Look at my dog on the front of my website. You'll see competitive obedience. But that's proofed. That means I can do that. I can guarantee those results on my dog in any condition.
Yeah.
Running across a field, a rabbit running in front of him, or whatever.
And I mean, because what happens if something happens to you and you can't hold the leash? If he just, now all of a sudden, he's a loose, running around, he can't control. If I mean, I've speaking of those 3 things, I've had great success with spit it out.
Yeah.
It's like,
what's that?
Telling them to spit it out.
He thought you were talking about the girls.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it was for some reason early on, and now Grip. I mean, I talked to him like one of the fellas, and I'm not a trainer. Mm-hmm. I have no training capacity. As a matter of fact, I'm barely trained. You know what I mean? So I can't speak, but I just, after I gave him the initial understanding of, and I didn't train him myself fully. I sent him to school. I went to a professional and said, and so they gave me the basics and the understandings, and then I've been around dogs for 30 years, and as an animal photographer, so I've seen trainers, and for me, the basic essential is love, food, and repetition.
Exactly.
And then your technique is your technique.
Yep.
See, I don't buy into that one technique being better than the other. You know what I mean? The only technique that's great is success.
Yep.
As long as you're not harming, you're not beating the dog into submission.
Exactly.
That technique I don't agree with.
Or nagging into it.
But there's also I can only relate to like the human experience because I can talk about what I know and what I feel and like I don't know, I just something doesn't jive with me about like when people say, oh, it's the results, like the method doesn't necessarily matter. Especially like growing up out here with like LAPD and all the other type stuff. Like I know it may not exactly equate, but like the methods that people use to like either like subjugate you or like like put you in a submissive kind of position.
Right.
The method does actually matter, like because it it has not only like psychological effects, but the physical effects as well. Like if you put a shock collar or a e-collar or whatever on yourself and say, oh, I tested it or whatever, is that equivalent to what you would use for like a human, like in that capacity? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but and I don't know. Again, I'm not a trainer. I'm not.
Because somebody will be like, hey, man, I use this chokehold to put this big brother down on his butt, and that's just my method. That's just how we get it done or whatever. And it's like, well, you know what? Because I'm bigger and I'm a dominant dude, you got to choke me, but you wouldn't choke some other dude. That's something where, like, the method... Like, no, you shouldn't be choking people. Like, that's your failing. What's the harm in me, walking a couple steps and, why do you have to choke me out?
But Danny, and I agree with you 100%, because what you're saying is right, because the method doesn't equate, what you're saying, the end. The end doesn't justify the means. The only time it does is if I go to a shelter, and there was a video on my site. I got a lot of controversy over this. Dog named Nacho. He was at the Humane Society in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And they were going to kill this dog. He'd been there 70 days. It was really dog aggressive, a little pit mix, really nice dog. I lifted the dog in a correction 6 times. After that 6th time, the dog never, ever again went after another dog, whether it was with me, another trainer, or he got transferred to another Humane Society. This dog has never gone after another dog. He learned a lesson. Wow. Now, in that sense, it does justify the means, because that saved his life, and he was going to be killed that Tuesday I was leaving. So if somebody asked me, hey, I got to choke you a couple times and maybe you're going to live, that's fine. If a dog has a propensity for bad behavior in a shelter, if I can prove that he can be worked with, then we take him out. And what you're saying is true. If you're saying in the context of a battle, like a dog's doing something wrong and I'm putting a shock collar on him to stop him from doing something wrong, that's different. With the exception of rattlesnake training, where we use a shock collar to keep the dog to make that rattlesnake so avoidant because that's going to save his life. We use the remote collar just like a cell phone. So if you think about it, in the old days, we had wires on our phones. That means we were stuck to only be able to talk to somebody when we had the wire. Now, with an electric collar on the dog, that dog can be as far away from us as possible, and it's merely a nick. If the dog is jumping off the ground or getting shocked, it's completely abuse, and I don't agree with that. But I'm saying this is a little reminder, like Foster's saying, his dog's running down the street, and he goes, hey, come here, and the dog's in drive, so the dog's not paying attention. He can nick the dog, and the dog goes, oh, sorry, you talking to me? And then turn around. It just enhances the relationship. And any tool like this, whether it's a pinch collar, electric collar, whatever, it's designed to enhance the relationship and make it easier for the dog so that we don't have to beat up the dog. That's where the abuse comes in. A lot of treat-only trainers, positive-only trainers, they say, well, if the dog doesn't respond to food, don't feed him for 2 days. Well, that's abusive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So this is really interesting. Why don't we take a break and we'll get Fred to chime in with us.
Get Fred to chime in. If Fred is out there, not only do I want to get Fred to chime in, can we get Paula Archer on the line too? When we bring up both those Skypes? Because those are two of my 2 favorite people in the world.
This is what I really love, because I love learning stuff. It's like when you get somebody like Robert here, it's like, oh man, let me pick your brain and let me learn something. So I'll always love talking
with
us.
Let's take a break after a word from our one and only sponsor, Pitbull Energy Drink. Y'all, if you haven't had one, you need to try it. Go to hiphopbev.com. We'll be right back.
Hey, are you tired of those same old energy drinks with bad taste? Make a switch to Pitbull Energy Drink with a guaranteed no aftertaste. Pitbull offers more energy with ginseng and vitamins B6 and B12. With a ginger ale lemon lime flavor, Pitbull meets the consumer's demand for better tasting and healthier energy products with a guaranteed no aftertaste. Make a switch to Pitbull Energy Drink. Pitbull offers more energy with ginseng and vitamins B6 and B12. With a ginger ale lemon lime flavor, Pitbull meets the consumer's demand for better tasting and healthier energy products. For more information on Pitbull energy drinks, bars, and mixes, visit their website at hiphopbev.com. That's hiphopbev.com. Online orders available at hiphopbev.com.
Are you a diabetic? Need some energy? Need to quench your thirst? Try Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, the only energy drink named suitable for diabetics by the American Diabetic Association. And it's now available with no calories, no carbs, no sugar, and no fat, and a smooth, natural blend of energy, vitamins, and minerals. Need to quench your thirst? Try Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, the only energy drink named suitable for diabetics by the American Diabetic Association. And it's now available with no calories, no carbs, no sugar, and no fat, and a smooth, natural blend of energy, vitamins, and minerals. Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink is the healthiest, best-tasting energy drink around. For more information and online ordering with free shipping, please visit hiphopbev.com. Remember, Pitbull Sugar-Free Energy Drink, suitable for diabetics, great for everyone.
All right, we're back. You guys are watching Conversation with a Pitbull Live. I'm Danny Mason. Foster just went out to grab somebody. We're here with Robert Cabral from Bound Angels representing. They're out there doing some wonderful educational work. One of the things I really love about them is they're helping educate the people that are doing the rescuing, because a lot of times rescuers, they're doing all this good frontline work and they still need some more tools and to get them better at what it is that they do. So the educational programs are wonderful. And how'd you get started with that stuff, Robert?
I was a photographer for years, and I just said, when I started teaching dog training and going to shelters and working with them, everybody said, well, I wish we had this at our shelter. Can you come to our shelter? And eventually it becomes, nonsense. You can't get all over the country and do every shelter, because I would love to every day be at a shelter, saving lives, because those are the people. Those people work in shelters that we often say, oh, you guys are killing dogs. They're killing dogs because they can't get them out. A lot of there's some idiots, but there's a few that are really trying really hard. Yeah. So to get this information, I said, man, what about all these great tools we have? YouTube, Vimeo. So I started the Vimeo channel, and we got, I think 80-something videos now that are all educational videos, and they're available free of charge. If you go to vimeo.com/boundangels, all those videos are available free of charge, or a lot of them are lectures. So it's me talking about what the principles are, not just demonstrations, but there's a lot of hands-on stuff too.
Yeah, that's something I want to hook up with you, because that's more of my alley as an editor and a filmmaker, to be able to help do some of that stuff, like the PSAs and some stuff that can actually reach people through the multimedia. But anyway, we were just talking about these e-collars, shock collars, and we've got our buddy Fred Kray on the line. I think Paula's there as well. Are you guys out there?
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Hey, what's happening? How are you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, Fred, I know you've been listening. I know you always got some other good stuff to talk about, so whatever order you'd like to go in, if you want to talk about what's going on in the world, or if you want to jump in on what it is that we've been discussing. I'm just here soaking up information and trying to get better at how I love dogs and love people. So go at it.
Well, my first observation is that the positive versus negative training is a very controversial issue in the training world. I'm not a trainer. I'm not aware of the studies or anything like that, but it's a very passionate argument between two sides. My observation as a lawyer is that the majority of dogs out there are not trained. And the majority of dogs that are off leash are not trained. And there are leash laws in virtually every community. So if you don't have your dog trained and it is off leash and something happens, there will be legal liability civilly and administratively or criminally if your dog does something. So my advice is to Foster is you should always have your dog leashed when it's out in the public, because there are, if your dog bites somebody, or even if you have your dog on leash and it's not under control, and it knocks somebody down and breaks their hip and doesn't bite them. Mm-hmm. There are all these legal liabilities that flow from having a dog. And I've handled many dangerous dog cases, and every single one that I've had, the dog has been off leash and not responsive to the owner or any other person. And I think it's great to talk about, what maybe 10 or 15% of the trained dogs do when they're off leash. But the dogs I see in my cases and the dogs that I see out generally are not trained. Right. The shock collar thing, the electric collar thing. I've seen them abused. I've seen dogs howling when they've been shocked. I've seen them jumping off out of the air. My personal opinion is that they should be used as a last resort. That I agree with Danny that the way that the manner in which they're used is important. The means don't justify the ends. Otherwise, people who beat their dogs would say, "Look, my dog is obeying me, so beating it is a good idea."
Right. And Fred, Paula,
leaving it up to an individual owner to make the decision about how much force they're going to use to train their dog, I think is tantamount to allowing people who experiment on animals. The guy who's in charge of the experiment is the one who's making the decision about whether that experiment should be done or not. Mm-hmm. And he has a vested interest in that decision because it's his funding that's being,
Fred,
deciding whether.
Fred, Fred, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm just getting used to this technology. First, I want to say hi to you and Paula. I haven't spoke to you guys all week. So because normally we do exchange one phone call, or something during the week, guys. I want to. The whole thing for me is, and you gave a good example about the person beating the kid. It's like if you got a kid. Now, I was raised where my mom would spank that ass. Okay. Now, and I won't.
To put it scientifically.
That's right. Exactly.
Got much research done on this subject.
So and now I won't run out into the street.
Or talk back.
That's right. But the thing is now, you could say the same thing about that training and that approach and that technique versus.
No, my problem is that what we're talking about is you've trained your dog.
Yeah.
You're one of 1,000 people that have done it.
Right.
And what I'm saying is that the vast majority of people, if their dog goes off leash, it's chasing a squirrel.
You're correct.
It's running down
100%.
something.
Exactly.
It's got spray drive. So what's going to end up happening is guys are going to end up in court.
Right. I agree with
that. For that.
Right. I agree with that. And professionally,
I don't have enough information to debate the positive training versus the negative training. I mean, there's a part of me that says,
that's why we got Robert in here today.
Great.
Yeah, that's why we got Robert in here today.
Robert represents only one side of the issue. I mean,
I don't. I represent both.
Discussion.
Because I believe in positive only training.
Who's a positive only trainer.
Well, what I'm saying is,
I don't know if Drayton Michaels fits that bill or not, but all I know is that it's a hugely passionately crazy, divisive issue amongst trainers, and so I think that it's something that should be talked about. I think it's something that
let's
talk about on both sides.
Let's hear what Robert's got to say about it, because I was against it until I got into it, until I found out the truth, like a lot of stuff. But Robert, what
a lot of people are. So the thing is, and what Fred's saying is right. So there is two sides. There's the positive only side, and then there's the compulsion only side. The old Bill Keeler school.
Can you explain it for people that might not?
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. So there's a positive only approach is like what they do with the dolphins. They say, we only give them treats when we only reward the positive behavior. We don't punish bad behavior. So when the animal is doing something wrong, we ignore it until it does the right thing, until it stops lunging at the dog, until it sits, until it comes, and it gets full rewards when it does the right thing. That's a positive-only approach, okay? So we leave a dog in a state of frustration oftentimes, which is part of the theory. The dog becomes frustrated, and when it figures out what it should do, it gets rewards, and it marks that behavior. We click, we pay for that behavior. On the flip side, we have the compulsion-only side, okay? On that side, we put a pinch collar on the dog, and we coerce the dog into doing what we want. We yank him to get to us to come. We yank him to sit. We yank him to leave something. And I don't agree with either of those sides, but yet I've trained both styles. I came from the old Bill Keeler school of being hard on dogs. I went to the positive-only side of only rewarding and marking positive behaviors. So the truth and the only true way, and again, I taught martial arts for 25 years, so the way, the zen of it, is in the middle. is in assimilating that I will mark the dog's positive behavior. I will reward the positive behavior. But if the dog is doing something that's going to get him in trouble, if the dog is going to go after another dog, I'm not going to use the positive only approach and wait for the dog to turn itself around. Because there are certain dogs that have so much drive that they will not give up. They will go and go and go. And by allowing the dog that opportunity to positive only approach, to wait for it to stop, you're putting an immense amount of mental and emotional stress on the other animal. And you're putting that other animal at risk. So it's at that point when we do need to use a bit of compulsion. We need to correct the dog. And for positive only people who will come along and say, well, it does work with positive only, you're spending 30 days with the dog, you're putting so many dogs at risk, and you're frustrating the dog for that long when it could be fixed with a correction. There's a balance, and the balance, I think, lies in the middle.
I've heard people argue that, you know, again, I'm not a dog trainer, but I've heard the arguments, and all I can say to what you're saying is that what you're saying to me sounds like it's faster to do it that way. There are ways to desensitize dogs to other dogs, and you know, I'm not clear myself because this is not my area of expertise of what the long-term effects or short-term effects of are shocking or nicking or shocking a dog who is doing something, who may or may not associate that with a certain behavior, and how that affects his or her overall personality.
And again, I wasn't talking about shocking. I was just talking about the theory of corrections.
There is such research.
Well, I tell you this.
You know, my thought is that you know, it's up to the trainers to do. You know, each trainer has his own style, and each trainer does his own thing. And you know, as an owner, you have a right to make a decision on how you want your dog trained.
Right. So well, I want to say
really
this, Fred.
Basically comes down to the owner.
Right. But
Foster, you need to keep your dog on a leash, bro.
Oh no, man, I can't. I mean, not at home, not on my block. And I do keep him on a leash, you know, in public. But let me say this though. What we're going to do is we're going to do a little in-studio test. I'm going to put Danny on the shock collar for a few minutes, and we're going to go to Paula Archer and try to get some dogs rescued for a couple of minutes. And when you guys come back from Paula, we'll have a definitive answer about the best way to get your dog to do what you want him to.
Hey,
all right?
Man, put a ring on it.
Did you see the video of the dog that a guy was robbing a store and he had a gun?
No.
And the pit bull jumped up from behind the counter, bit the guy's hand, had him drop the gun.
Whoa,
and then the owner of the store picked him up and he chased after the guy.
He chased after the guy with the pit bull in his arms?
Nice.
Oh, that's the team. Yeah. So, hey, stay right there, Fred. We're going to be right back and continue this conversation because Robert's got something to say. All right? So, can we go to Paula Archer in Missouri? Hey, dear, how are you?
Hi, guys.
Hey, Paula.
Hey, sorry I haven't spoken to you, but thank you so much, and grip is good, okay? Thank you so much.
Give him a kiss.
Yeah.
Give him a kiss for me.
I will. I'll take one from the other ones that he gave me and throw it right at you, dear. So go ahead. Let's say some dogs real quick, babe.
Okay, let's go. Chris, are you ready?
Yep.
First up, we have Shasta. Shasta, what a sweetheart she is. She is affectionate, playful, and friendly. She looks close to be a year old and weighs about 45 pounds. Next up, we have Wyatt. Very sweet and affectionate boy. He loves attention and is friendly and playful. He is 1 to 2 years old. Next up, we have Tiger. Excuse me. Tiger came in as an owner surrender. He is affectionate, gentle, and friendly. He is a year in age, and he loves to play. Shadow is the next one. He is another owner surrender. He came in with Tiger. The two boys came in together. Shadow is a sweetheart, and he loves to play. He is also a year old. Now we have Baby Girl. Baby Girl was received as an owner surrender, and we really don't understand why. She is such a baby doll. She is looking for her forever home. Next up, we have Sage, and I'm sorry to say that Sage has been put down. She is no longer available. Next up, we have Coco. Coco is a sweet pup. She's goofy, friendly, and playful. She looks to be around 6 to 8 months old and weighs about 30 pounds. Now we have Portia, and Portia has been reclaimed by her owners. Way to go, girl. Now we have Max. Max, as I named him, seems a little confused as to why he is there at the shelter, but he did love his pool time. Can he come hang out with you on your next fishing trip? Now we have Queenie. Queenie was an owner surrender. She seems happy to just hang out with a human. In the photo, you can see she's just chilling. Now we have Beth. Beth looks like she has had a hard life. I would say she is a farm girl since she isn't good with chickens, and she doesn't like cats either. She would love a place to take her in and to love her. Next up, we have Jade. Sorry, Jade's not available. She's been adopted. Now we have Stud. He is a surrender. But as you can see, he is a very handsome, laid-back kind of guy.
All right, what's
a real lady killer.
All right.
He is a love.
Go. I'm sorry.
All of these animals sit at the end of a road behind a landfill, no visibility to the public, high kill, very rural. It's Putnam County Animal Services, Palatka, Florida. The number to reach them is 386-329-0396.
Hey, that's my phone number. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was my old phone. So,
hey, if you guys missed any of that information, hit Paula up on Facebook at Paws Pit Parade, and she can drop all that information on those dogs, and as well as a bunch of other dogs that really desperately need your help. Get involved. If you can transport, adopt, foster, take some food, there's tons of ways to get involved and help. So if you get a chance, hit Paula up on Paws Pit Parade. Also, if you got some dogs that you want to feature on the show, we'd be happy to try to get them in here and get them saved.
That's right. And unless your name is Lisa, for those of you whose name's Lisa on Facebook, who's calling me an asshole because my name is Foster, and she sent me 20 dogs a day. Talking about, how come you don't foster one of these dogs? And I'm like, lady, that's my real name. I mean, it turned into a whole thing where she's posting my name all over Facebook and this stuff. And I'm like, because I told her after 20 dogs a day, you're sending me and tagging me relentlessly. I'm saying, lady, I'm not I don't run a foster organization. You never taken a dog from us.
Your name is Foster.
Yeah, and I'm like,
maybe you should change your name to Adopt.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to say? So, I've tried and tried. So, so anyway, I just wanted to get down. Paula, love you. We're going to have to let you go because I want to try to get Cheryl in here on the Skype. But so while Chris is trying to pull her up, love you, Paula. Talk to you in a minute. I want to keep Fred going. And while you're doing that, Robert, let's continue that conversation.
Well, again, I just want to go back to it. We're talking about electric collars always bring up these crazy thoughts in people that we're going to shock dogs. And Fred's right. I've seen dogs abused relentlessly with electric collars, but I've also seen dogs abused relentlessly by a human's mind. Okay, so the cruelest tool we've got is our minds. If we're going to tie up a dog, neglect a dog, abuse a dog, prod a dog, hit a dog with our hands, hit a dog with belts, choke dogs, hang dogs, beat dogs, starve dogs. Those are all things that are they're not legal. They're abusive and they're illegal. But these are tools that we have available to us. So we're trying to make electric collars illegal. A lot of people are.
Right. Well, Robert, tell me this. See, because your situation is a little bit different than, well, actually, it's a lot different than the average Joe Blow.
Yeah, you deal with thousands of dogs on a regular.
Yeah.
And
now, what you do, and I'm sorry, we didn't tell people, you guys, what Robert does. And so I'm not going to try to do it. Robert, tell me.
In a nutshell, we go into the shelter and we teach shelters canine behavior theory. So shelter employees and volunteers learn how dogs think, how dogs function, how dogs work. Do we use electric collars in the shelters? No. Do we use aversive training methods in shelters? No. One reason is because most people are against it. So a lot of dogs die. Because we don't have behavioral programs in shelters, a lot of dogs die. I was just at a Humane Society in Oregon, okay? This shelter does believe in using electric collars, and using pinch collars. And this shelter has a 99% live release rate. Why? Because when a dog exhibits a behavior that cannot be conditioned or counter-conditioned with positive-only methods, and there are those dogs. Unfortunately, positive-only people will tell us all dogs can be cured 100%. It's untrue.
So, just to make the difference,
yeah,
and let me know if I'm wrong,
please.
Because we have a trainer that we do know and love. You know, and you probably know Drayton too. All you guys are in the same pot. What Drayton does with a private person that brings their dog to him for behavioral problems and stuff, and what you do going in the shelter. See, because, and correct me if I'm hearing you right, you go in the shelter and you train a dog, you give a dog a different kind of behavior to keep him off of death row.
Well, no, to take him off of death row.
You take them off of death row.
Yeah, I'm talking about dogs. I've been with dogs, and now not one of these dogs in the shelter ever has been used on an electric collar.
Really?
So, no, this is a dog we take off and we say, look, some coercion, some aversive method, some compulsion will be used in order to recondition this dog's mind to show that we might be able to work with him. End of story. And just remember, I don't just train aggressive dogs. I teach shelters, I work with aggressive dogs, I work with pets, and I train competitive obedience dogs. My dog is a competitive obedience dog. Look at him on the front of the site. That's competitive obedience, and it's also in protection. When you have those kind of drives in a dog where a dog will run across 100 yards to bite a person, hold that person, guard that person, and with one word, let him go. That's a drive that these other trainers don't deal with. Sorry.
I'm going to get Danny to do that if it kills me.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
Yeah,
we'll
you
do
got
it.
to. That's
do it.
Just real quick, let's try to get Cheryl in here because I know she's chomping at the bit, like our friend Cheryl. Cheryl, are you out there?
I'm here.
Hey, baby.
Have you been listening to the show? What are your thoughts?
How you doing?
Good.
I have been, and Danny, you got it. I've been chomping at the bit. Foster knows. This is one of my.
You're chomping at the bit.
Animal welfare.
Go. Joe, we down to about 5 minutes.
Okay. Robert, first of all, I love what you're saying. I love hearing somebody that follows positive reinforcement saying that we need more than just the treat. It is a passionate discussion. I've been in many, many discussions online with people and have been unfriended, have been torn to pieces because I suggest that treat training isn't the only way, or positive reinforcement, is not the only way. They keep throwing out that, well, science proves this and science proves that. Science only proves that you did some tests in the lab and the dog reacted a certain way. In real life, we need to use whatever tool we can to help make sure that our dog is safe around all other living things, will listen to us, and will behave and is well socialized. That is our responsibility to our dogs, especially for pit bull owners, because we're held to a much higher standard.
Okay.
And
well, you know what, Cheryl?
I just wanted to say just one last thing.
Sure.
That as long as the method is humane and you are not hurting the dog,
exactly.
I think it's acceptable.
Well, I'll tell you, just because we're not as super high tech as like ABC and CNN and don't have that Chiron running up under your name. This is Cheryl Huerta of the Portland Pit Bull Project, right? Or Portland, and Cheryl?
Yeah.
Tell everybody your organization and Facebook so that they can hate you and unfriend you and all that kind of stuff.
I'm the co-founder and president of the Portland Pit Bull Project. We are found on Facebook as the Portland Pit Bull Parade. Our advocacy also has a Facebook page, Portland Pit Bull Project. We hold monthly bully walks. That's one of our main things. But we do a lot of other things. We have pit bull education booths. We try to support local rescues and shelters. And that's one of our biggest problems is we've had some of the local rescues and shelters refuse to have anything to do with us or associate with us because I'm very verbal about my feelings about training and there is more than one way.
All right,
and so some of the people locally have said, we don't want nothing to do with you.
That's right. Well, Cheryl, don't feel bad, because I had a whole bunch of them say they don't have nothing to do with me. Listen, we got about 30 seconds, so a couple of things I want to do. One, did you use a shock collar on that pit bull we saw walking in the background back there? And all right, so we love you, dear. Tell him we said.
I've had to take it down a few times.
Oh, yeah, I think he looks like one of those you won over with treats. Okay, so hey, we'll see you later. I want to ask Fred before we go. Fred, what thoughts and comments you got on this going out?
Well, I think if you look at Cesar Millan.
Oh, we don't like
uses
to do that. But, okay.
Well, I know we don't talk about him on the show, but as an example, he uses all kinds of techniques that many people say are coercive, and yet the dog seems, at least on the show, to come out better for it. I don't know the answer. I just know that there's a controversy.
That's right. And
I mean, my thing is just like, and maybe it's just like kind of like Robert was saying, it's like a lot of it is subjective, and it's like it's difficult especially for people that have felt like, like not only physical subjugation, but like emotional subjugation, and at the hands of somebody that's supposed to be in power or whatever. Like the methods that you use, like I just have an aversion to stuff. And again, I'm not a trainer. Like if everybody was very well steeped in the methods and stuff like that, I might perhaps like think differently. But like when I see these animal the animal people that drive around and catch stray dogs and stuff like that, and they don't have any training or whatever, but they're like, hey, I got this brand new like 10-foot pole with a noose on it, like I'm gonna go like round up all these dogs. It's like, well, they don't have the proper training, so the methods that they do use, like they may work in the hands of an experienced, like well-trained person, but like in the hands of somebody that isn't well-trained, this stuff is actually like, it can be very debilitating to people and do more damage than perhaps another method. And I think you got a lot of these rogue people running around, not only in our segments of society, but probably in the animal community as well, that are saying, hey, you know what, because I have my own failings, I'm going to go use these little gadgets that just came out or whatever to enhance my stuff.
Was that the 30-second approach? No, Rob, go with my last 30 seconds there, Rob.
You know what? I believe I'm an ethical vegan. I don't believe in any animal abuse. I'm against animal testing. I am for saving animals. I've dedicated my life to Bound Angels, to making the world a better place for animals, and to be fair, whatever's fair to the dog, however we can save more animals. And I want to thank you, Foster and Danny, for having me on this great show.
Hey, I think I love this subject so much.
Yes, but did you guys vote for Duke as mayor in Minnesota?
Well, we will do that today. Is it not over yet, right?
No, it's over. Duke got elected.
Oh, okay. There you go. Then I voted for him.
The dog was elected mayor in Commerce, Minnesota.
All right. Well, we got to continue with that.
It's like Robert, Unforgiven, the duck of death.
Yeah. When we come back, Robert can come back, and maybe you bring somebody. Bring Kyle with you.
Okay.
We can keep this going.
Yeah.
I want to say on the subject of training and all of these things, we will be gone for 2 weeks. I want to say to my youngest daughter and love of my life, Pilar Quarter, that she's going away for 6 months to do missionary work somewhere in the world, which I cannot understand, but I truly love her and support her efforts.
What can you do? Do something good in the world.
Yeah, man. I know, and I don't know where she got that at. It's just like, but Yeah, I told her she's been doing missionary work right here every day. So,
hey, the war on poverty starts here.
Yeah, so she graduated from college and she's trying to, I can't, like I said, I don't understand that, trying to give back, trying to do something for people other than yourself. And I look at the show and I look at the fact that I forged my birth certificate at 15 to go to Vietnam, and to get away from there. So I say, your mom and I love you, and I wish you well, and be safe out there in the world. Everybody, grip is going to get better. Thank you for the support. Paula, I'll talk to you in a minute.
You guys go visit Bound Angels on the internet and get educated. I know I am. I'm so inspired by this conversation. I want to thank Robert for joining us. I want to thank you guys, because the show isn't anything without you.
Sure.
And the people that make it happen.
That's right.
Fred Kray and Paula Archer and Cheryl. Thank you guys.
That's right. See you the 7th week of the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, whatever that weekend is. Bye.
I'm a pit bull, and I approve this message.